So when Eve was made, Adam's relation, stupid dog. After God made Eve.
Next question. Anyone have another question?
It just sounds like a failure.
You seem a little frustrated.
I do. Just
Yeah, no,
let me
because I was
handle it.
answering.
Shut
Because I was
up.
answering another. Because I was answering another question.
Just let me.
Because I was
Yes,
answering
I have
another question, and
Yes.
this another person came in.
Okay, I have the other question. Listen.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Look,
the hypothetical is a world where it's matter in motion. Now, is there a contradiction in that world?
That which is foundational? Is God the foundational preconditioner for that state of affairs?
No.
Okay, then I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
What do you mean you don't know what the heck I'm talking about?
I mean, the words make sense to me, but the hypothetical where God does not exist.
Okay, everybody, please just be quiet, please.
That state of affairs.
Can you mute the people? I'm just trying to ask this guy a question.
That state of affairs does not mean anything if God is not that which is foundational that would institute those state of affairs.
So
facts
what you're doing right now,
because God instituted them.
Surely you're not appealing to God to show an inconsistency.
I think you're cutting out. I didn't hear everything.
I said, surely you aren't appealing to an external view to show that there's a contradiction, which would be an internal critique of the world in which everything is matter in motion.
Me.
External? No, God exists already. Okay, and I'm not doing an internal critique on anything. I'm saying I'm not going to engage in the hypothetical. And it really wasn't even me who was posed the hypothetical. It was Foxy posed the hypothetical by Xerxes. All I was doing was telling Foxy that it would not be wise of him to entertain the hypothetical given his worldview. Okay?
Fine.
That's all I was telling you.
But can you point out a contradiction? Can you make an internal critique? Is there a contradiction?
I already made it. Okay, I'm not going to answer that question again. I've already answered that question.
So you refuse. Hold on a second. I'm almost done. For fuck's sake. So just to be clear, when asked for you to point out, by the way, this is oftentimes the atheist worldview. And oftentimes, I think perhaps even in this conversation, you have said that the atheist worldview is incoherent. Incoherent means that within the atheist worldview, i.e., molecules in motion, means. that I'm going to tell you that it means that there is a contradiction within the worldview, right? Now, once I asked you to provide a contradiction within the worldview, you declined, and you're free to decline. But are you sure you want to do that? Is that your final answer? You just
I already told you. I already told you. I answered. I already told you. I answered the question that you asked me already. Okay. Now I'm not. The reason why atheism is incoherent is known as a. I believe it's a performative contradiction, in which the entailment of your worldview. Essentially, the way you act, okay, will contradict the ways, or the entailment of your worldview. Some of the beliefs you espouse, okay, would contradict with other beliefs that you hold to as an atheist.
Yeah,
but that's a separate issue. That's not what we're talking. That's a completely different thing.
Respond to that really quickly.
Okay, you respond. You respond after I'm done talking.
We should go one at a time.
I didn't claim. Great. Then
stop over talking.
Then stop talking. Then stop talking. Then, right? I never claimed that there was a contradiction in the words God does not exist. I never claimed that was the case. I never did. Okay, so you could try to find a clip of me saying that.
You think atheism is incoherent?
Have a good luck.
You think atheism is incoherent?
And I explained. I just 30 seconds ago I explained what I meant when I said that.
Okay, so you're talking about performative contradictions.
So I'm not going to repeat myself.
JRobin, stop over talking.
I heard you. You were
no,
talking
I'm still speaking. He's over talking.
Oh
my God. So someone mute him, please. Someone mute him, please, because I was still in the middle of explaining something. Okay, that was the concept we were talking about, a performative contradiction, and I did not claim, nor have I ever claimed that there was a contradiction in the terms God does not exist. I never claimed that there was a P and not P, and that they were conjoined. I never claimed that was the case. Go ahead.
Are you done? Thank you. Now, for you to say that atheism is incoherent because of performative contradiction, right? That doesn't mean jack squat, because I can act out of accord with my belief or perform differently from whatever, and that world can still be real. all you're pointing out is that I'm out of accord with some of like my professed beliefs or something. But who cares? That doesn't mean that the worldview is incoherent. And sans you pointing out that the not God worldview, in this case, molecules in motion worldview, without you pointing out an internal contradiction, we're only left to believe that this world is a possible world. And if God to you, if the God world is a necessary world, in other words, a world which must be the case, which could not be the other case, if there is a world, i.e., the molecules in motion world, which by your lights you're saying is possible, well, then the Christian God, as you're presenting, is falsified.
Okay, are you done? I want to make sure he's done before he tries to accuse me of doing what he does all the time.
Stop over talking.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. The issue here, and I laid it out again. I'm going to lay it out one more time. You know how I love laying out things, multiple times for people who don't like to listen. You know how I love to do that. So I'm going to do it again. The issue here is that the beliefs you hold to, okay, are contradictory, meaning that, or not contradictory.
How?
They're on it. You do not have grounds. All right. So someone has to mute this guy, please. So what we're doing here, okay. So the situation here is that when someone professes to be an atheist, okay, their worldview will not be able, okay, to ground intelligibility. There will be no intelligibility in an atheist world. So it would not mean anything for propositions to be true or false, which would then eviscerate the ability for an atheist worldview to be instantiated or defended. Okay. Now,
Are you done?
This is extremely off topic from I think what
Can you
what
do
the other
one
thing was,
point at a time so I can
one other
respond to
person.
one thing?
Go ahead.
That seems really reasonable, doesn't it? I don't know why it's like twisting.
All right, can we skip the meta, please? Let's skip the meta, please.
Okay, so you brought up performative contradictions again. And people can even have contradictory beliefs. They can believe that God is all good and believe that God is not all good, right? These are just simply contradictions with beliefs. Now, none of these contradictory beliefs that any agent may have entails that the world that they are in is contradictory and therefore cannot exist. So all that stuff is just trash, just completely garbage, right? Now,
No, some of
I already went over this with you, and maybe you're not tracking.
I'm not done. Yeah, I'm not done.
Tom unboxes some of the key beliefs in which you have and you use to form your metaphysics does falsify your worldview, and that's what Tom.
So
that's what.
So the second thing I think that you were saying, which was about intelligibility.
Yeah, you're a clown.
Anyways, the second thing I think you're talking about intelligibility, I think Darth gives an argument that's very similar. Darth's argument goes something like, well, usually he affirms the consequence, but I'll fix it for you, right? Something like, if we have intelligibility, then God exists. We have intelligibility, therefore God exists. Now, I can easily just give you the atheist version, right? If we have an intelligibility, God does not exist. We have intelligibility, therefore God does not exist. It's not very forceful of an argument, is it?
Wow, that's amazing.
Was that a rhetorical question?
But if you accept the former, then you must accept the latter because it's the exact same form.
You're just stealing ideas from the theists.
But you're assuming exactly. I was going to say the exact same thing. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I don't think you have a good grasp on what you're saying here. I tried to explain it to you. Okay, a world where God is not the instantiator.
The facts
of
that
all
you get
facts that exist.
Exactly.
Okay.
They reference God. The facts that the people that
says you.
From, no, the people that you got.
Okay, so you don't believe that that's the case then?
They got reference from facts of God. They reference God.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So you say.
Think so. Okay. So
all right. Why don't you think so? So how do you know that's not the case? Then?
Because
How
the
do you know
Christian
that's
God's
not the case?
not real. Because if he were real, I'd know him. Yeah, if the Christian God exists under Darth's view, and I'm sure your view, because you're also a pre-supper, I know that God exists. I don't know that God exists. Therefore, the Christian God doesn't exist.
That's a horrible argument. That's a
Why?
and
You
it
keep saying
also
that,
Yeah.
but you don't. But
yeah,
why?
So
Okay.
Yeah,
So let
yeah.
me
Why?
explain my
Why?
premise
Okay.
two, all I have to do is say that you're lying.
Yeah. When if you
So-
say that I'm lying, it could still be the case that I don't know.
Premise
So I
one. Premise one. If I believe that you're lying, you're lying. Premise two. I believe you're lying, therefore you're lying.
Nice.
That's a valid argument, but it's not sound.
What a fantastic argument.
Okay. That's a valid argument. Tom unboxes the argument that you made, but it's not sound. There you go.
Checkmate.
It is.
This is what they do.
Okay, then mine is. Okay, I'm just gonna do the same thing you do. Mine is also. Now what?
Yeah, but it also doesn't even follow though, right? I mean, if you think I'm lying, it
Yeah,
doesn't
but yours also
necessarily.
doesn't even follow either.
You're just being a petulant child. You're not
He
actually
doesn't
responding to
understand
anything.
any of this.
JRobin, you can, if you want, you can.
Yeah.
attack
Let me
the
explain this. Let me explain this.
I actually gave some premises and
Yeah.
conclusions.
We just
So-
mute
so-
Ezra,
so
please.
what am I not understanding? I actually gave premises and conclusions. So what am I not
Anything of
understanding?
what you're saying.
There's a different way you can approach this. Okay. So either it's the case, okay, that you are telling the truth, okay, everything you're saying is correct, and therefore, and subsequently, inevitably, the Christian God is false, okay, or
Right,
it is the case that you are right, or it is the case that you are under delusion, you are under deception, and you are so fooled by this deception as to think that God does not exist and that you don't even think that God exists. Okay.
Prove God
Now, what you have to do in order to make your second premise true is to falsify the second option, the latter option that I presented to you, which is that you're not under deception, you're not under delusion, and that you're acting perfectly normally.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'd like
I'm
you to
in a.
substantiate that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to substantiate the way that normal people try to substantiate these things, right? And one of the things that I have, which you don't have, is privileged access to my mental states. Do you have that?
How do you know that? How do you know you have
Oh
access?
hold on a minute. How do you know that you have privileged access to first person mental state? How do you know that's the case? How do you know?
Because I have access to
Okay.
my mind. You don't.
Do you even?
That's the same claim.
How do you know that? That's the same claim.
Same claim.
That's the same claim. You can't even substantiate that. Okay, do you understand? You
You
can't
want me to
substantiate
substantiate?
That circularity is okay.
Well, okay.
Circularity in terms of fundamental is okay. We've established that like for an hour.
Perhaps you're just being dishonest, but what number am I thinking of right now, JRobin? I know.
Do you know what number you're thinking of? No.
Yeah.
How do you know what number you're thinking of?
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
How do you know what
Okay.
what number you're thinking of? Okay.
What do you?
So yeah, that's the point we're at.
You want to know? You want to know
the
how I
counter case.
experience things too? If I'm actually experiencing things?
Wait, why are you dodging his question?
Hold on a minute. If you're under deception,
taking it head on, dumbass.
Imagine
how sad and bottom of the barrel your arguments have to be to challenge someone's exclusive interpretation of their own.
JRobin, could you please stop over talking?
Yeah.
I didn't say
answer his
anything.
question, Tom unboxed.
Yeah,
I just have.
Yeah, my question.
There's not some kind of
still
process
hasn't
that
answered.
goes on. I just have direct access to my thoughts. Like
All right.
by definition.
That still doesn't answer the question. That still doesn't answer the question.
It's just the same
Yeah,
claim.
Of how do I know it?
You still.
It is an answer. You just don't
Wait,
like
this
the
is
answer.
the same. This is the same shit that JRobin pulled with me, where he's like
It's
provided
also-
an answer and he doesn't.
For
some reason, it's not an answer.
It's exactly what I wanted to
I
bring
think
up
JRobin
earlier.
is just like a broken record at this point.
It's exactly what I'm trying to
JRobin,
tell you, Cicero, is that he said you didn't answer when you obviously did. He just didn't like the answer.
What's more likely?
No, the
everybody
answer was not
has
an answer to my
answered.
question.
What's more?
Okay.
Please stop over talking, JRobin.
I can just demonstrate it, right? What number am I thinking of? I can demonstrate to you that I
Okay.
have a level of access to
All right.
my brain that you don't have. Do you deny that?
How do you know what number you're thinking
Okay,
of?
I could even honestly, I'm not even going to grant that, but I could. It still wouldn't mean that there is some part of you that is under deception, okay, to where you believe that you don't have a belief or a set of knowledge,
Whoa.
but you do, okay.
Right.
Now you
So
haven't falsified that. You still have yet to falsify that.
so right. So it seems like I'm going to correct me if you're wrong. You're making an objection to premise 2, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to know if you're saying anything more than nuh-uh.
I asked you a question. I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds to answer the question because I can already sense this is not really gonna go anywhere. So I'm gonna give you 30 seconds before the conversation's over. So this is the question I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you ample time to answer. The question is, how do you defend that there is not a part of you that is under deception to the point where you may strongly believe that a proposition, namely that you don't know that God exists, you believe that proposition is true, but that actually is not the case. So how do you
stop
because I have
talking, please?
because I have access to my thoughts and my inner desires and wants, right? And one of my desires is
doesn't answer
that
the
I don't
question.
want to I don't want to die, right? I don't want to die. So why would I that's prop excuse me with the throat clearing, bro. So if one of my top tier desires is that I don't want to die, well then how can that be superseded by something like autonomy or something like that? Because the one thing that Jesus has to offer
Argument from
is
ignorance.
everlasting life, right?
What you
What do
just
you
did was an
mean?
argument from ignorance. How could that be the case?
No, how?
But how could it, if that's my top tier desire, how could it be the case? We haven't even substantiated that was a top tier desire, but even if, I mean, that's what you view it to
Well,
be.
it is for
right?
me.
But
It
that
is
would
for
all that
me.
would
I
only
can
that would only
establish
be
those things.
that would be okay. All right, that would be filtered through a lens of your experience that could be diluted, but you haven't actually
Says
substantiated
you.
is not the
Yeah,
case.
says you.
Okay. All right, so I think everyone here knows that he can't defend his worldview, which is fine, okay.
What?
But that's what we're here
How
for.
did you
That's what we're here for.
What?
Wait,
So
Yeah, he can't defend his
Snugs, you need
position.
to shut your mouth
Oh
and
my
stop over
god.
So-
talking.
Why are you so
Wow, that's
snazzy,
sexist.
dude? Chill out, dude.
what's the
You
defeat?
need to shut your
So
mouth.
JRobin,
I've
stop over talking.
I have entertained your questions. Now is the part where you support premise 2 and how that's not the case. Go ahead.
No, you didn't actually answer the question, okay? Because all you did was recapitulate, and everything you say, all right, can be filtered under the experience of someone who is under a delusion.
It could be. It's logically possible,
Right, so
right? Is it
falsify it.
logically possible that that's not the case? Because that means that the Christian God might be false, buddy.
Okay. So you said that you want to posit second premise as being true. Okay, you haven't necessitated it yet. I want you to go ahead and necessitate it for me, please. If second premise is not necessarily true, then your argument is not valid.
I can only necessitate it to myself, right? I can't necessitate it to you because I can't give you privileged access to my thoughts. But the argument still goes through if I am the only one who knows it. I could know it and not be able to tell any single person, and the argument would still go through.
You don't have a clue. You don't have a clue what in the world you're talking about.
Tell me what I did wrong.
When it comes to your experience, right? A schizophrenic, someone who has any other mental illness. Okay, that's fine. I know you're suffering from a lot of personal things. It's okay. You don't have to take it out on me though.
JRobin, stop over talking, please.
Nice gaslighting. What a piece of shit you are, JRobin.
JJ, shut up, you grumpy old
fine.
man. Get back in your milk cage.
Jeez,
shut up.
What?
What? Another allegation that is levied is that atheism is irrational. But if I do have privileged access to my own thoughts, And I am of the type of person who doesn't really lie to myself. And I can do introspection, deliberation, analysis, right? I can look through my own brain and I can come to the conclusion that I don't, in fact, know that God exists. And that's a rational position, right? That's a rational position. Sorry, it's rational.
I love how confident you sound in your reasoning, and you don't even track half of what I'm telling you. I love it, honestly. You have to love it. I'm gonna repeat what I say one more time. If you're under some sort of a delusion, and this is very highly spiritual, by the way, but if you're under some sort of a delusion, you're not gonna know in some cases that you're under it. So claiming
Like
that you
yourself,
have some sort
you
of
could be
a
delusional, right?
so
JJ,
claiming that you're
JJ, get
under
back to the metaphors once again.
claiming that you're under some sort of, or sorry, claiming that you have privileged access to your first person experience, that doesn't tell me anything any more than you like to ignorantly and blindly conjecture about things that go on in the world.
Prove it.
All it tells me. And you haven't been able to substantiate it. You haven't been able to substantiate that claim.
I don't.
So it's nothing for me to prove. The onus is on you to substantiate your claim.
Does it follow if I'm the only person that knows it and I can't impart that knowledge to anyone else? Does that necessarily follow that I'm wrong?
And claim you're wrong. I asked you to substantiate your claim, and you could not. These aren't like
right.
These
well,
little
you
silly
said it
gotcha
wasn't
questions
necessitated.
aren't impressive to anyone.
It's not necessitated to you, right?
Right. I think
because you're never.
The conversation is over. You're a little childish.
You may
clown.
tap out.
It's
That's
okay.
right. You may tap out.
Wait, you may quit.
So
if
I'm
makes
waiting
you
for
feel,
you
This
to
is
tell
the
me
second
the
conversation of the evening you've lost, Robin.
I'm waiting for you to tell me the justification as to why premise.
It's funny how the only people who think. It's funny how the only people. Yeah, it's funny how the only people here who are are clapping and really really happy and foaming at the mouth, and I can sense
Stop
in your
over
tone,
talking,
honestly,
please.
is these atheists. Honestly, it's funny. It's funny how the bias is off the chart.
Look, I haven't insulted you. Look, JRobin, I haven't
honestly,
insulted you a single time. Okay.
Yeah.
Not a single time.
Shut up.
Let him wrap it
No,
up.
JRobin is simply he's not tapping out.
Ezra, stop. Look, JRobin's
Okay,
gonna wrap
it's
it
okay.
up.
I don't need them to be. I mean, honestly, if they want to feel if their superiority complex is getting control of them and their ego is taking control and they want to feel like they want a conversation, that's fine. I'll let them think that. Okay. It really doesn't. It doesn't make me lose any sleep at all at night.
Doesn't shake you out of your delusion one bit, does it?
The more you talk about it, the less I believe you. By the way,
completely misrepresent people. What a fucking noble guy.
Look, I haven't insulted you at all. I've answered. I actually, whether
Tom,
or not
Tom,
you
shut your
you
mouth
may
really
not.
quickly.
Can you stop
JRobin
interrupting me?
is not
Stop
tapping
interrupting
out.
me.
All he's
You have the
simply
last
doing.
word.
All he's
I haven't
simply
said that.
He's done because he's tired of the prevarication and the people talking over him.
can someone mute him?
This is some complete Mad Hatter nonsense.
Robin and Tom are trying to finish up.
Anyways.
Everybody else shut up.
Yeah, Tom, you can finish. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I have not insulted you, right? I've attempted to answer your questions, right? Now you may not have thought that they were, to your satisfaction. I'm sorry about that. You want to continue the conversation later? That's fine. Now, since I did at least attempt to answer your questions, right? I think that I did satisfactorily, but you don't. But that is what it is. I would like you to support your claim that premise 2 is not true. It only seems fair. Now, if you have an objection to premise 2 that is anything other than nuh-uh, I would love to hear it. Go.
Well, if I could just jump in here,
No, you probably
Jay. Yeah, well, I can.
Live preserver.
Jay. What is it? Prior to you even
Funny how these
bringing
people
up
think
this
that
point,
like we need life
Tom,
preservers from atheist reasoning. It's funny.
Well, you do because Foxy just jumped in.
Look, come on, please, man. So, but prior to
Robin, you lost both debates, so I would imagine you do.
Prior to bringing up this point, JRobin and I sort of discussed, these sorts of things, and I was asked to provide some kind of contradiction with the idea of a world where God didn't exist. I gave a syllogism to address that point, and then you sat there claiming that we've made no arguments and stuff like that. You know, even though before the conversation even started getting into like this argumentative form, that was already provided. You know, Robin's sort of addressed that point a number of times. Like, we've already answered the question that you've asked over and over again. It's sort of ridiculous at this point.
I'm sorry, Foxy, but I've already used a mental Sharpie to redact everything you just said. I'm waiting for JRobin's response.
So you completely
what
ignore
exactly? Can you
everything
just repeat
Foxy
what you
just
said?
said, and you're just gonna.
Yeah, the
That's right.
question is, with regards to premise 2, do you have an objection that is anything other than nuh-uh?
Yes. Yeah, so that right there, okay, just means that anything I say from this point on, you're just going to qualify as being what you disqualified it as, but that's fine. I'm going to give an answer anyways. So the reason, okay, premise 2 is false is because you are under deception. You are under delusion. And you are so blinded by your delusion that you strongly believe that you do not have the knowledge of God. Now, since you cannot falsify it, okay, since you can't falsify it, there is no substantive objection that you can give to what I'm telling you here. There's nothing you can give unless you have a new some sort of objection that you haven't given prior that you're willing to give right now that will falsify what I'm telling you.
So that sounded like nuh-uh to me.
Sure did.
Well, I predicted it. Didn't I predict it, guys? Didn't I predict it,
ridiculous.
guys? Didn't I predict it?
Yeah, that
It's
doesn't
okay.
mean that it contradicts.
One second.
That's
What
because
you
that's all you
said
could
was
possibly say.
what you said was your objection was
More
that
dogpiling.
he
Where's the
was
moderation here?
he was
Hey, where's
delusional.
what
right?
about the lifeboat?
Right, Robin? Right, JRobin?
Who's talking?
Did I understand your objection correctly?
Yeah, you did.
You said that your objection was that he was delusional, right?
Correct.
Am I correct, JRobin?
Yeah, who's talking right now?
That's correct, JJ.
Oh, so now the lifeboats come out,
that's
huh? So now the
Did he
lifeboats
say
come
that's
out?
correct?
Yeah, no,
Are the-
I did.
Are the
You're
lifeboats
correct,
here?
JJ.
Did he say that's correct?
Yeah, I said you're under. You said you're under a deception right now.
That's your
You
objection?
engage in the suppression of the truth and unrighteousness, as Romans 1 says.
So the justification for your objection then is the Bible?
Is God's revelation.
The Bible.
Is God's revelation in the Bible, sure.
Well, no, so you're saying your objection is you're lying or you're delusional, sorry.
You're under,
and you're going to
correct.
give, so presumably you would give justification for that objection, right?
Well, it seems like, hold on a minute. Well, it seems like the only thing you have is some sort of a weird like quasi ad hominem, which is just kind of repeating what I say and some sort of in this tone where it sounds like what I'm saying is it doesn't make any sense. That's the only thing you really have against what I'm telling you, because when I asked very clearly,
stupid. He didn't insult you.
didn't say I didn't.
An
That's why I
ad
said
hom would be-
okay. All right.
Listen.
done.
Okay.
An ad
All right.
hom would be your argument is
Listen.
invalid because you insulted me.
All right,
Yeah,
please.
just let me know when the meta is done.
Someone mute him. Okay, so essentially, what just happened here?
You stop asking
and
for people to be.
This is what. Okay, so someone mute him
Of
too.
course, the theists would never engage in these conversations.
Someone
they couldn't control.
So someone
gotta have the mutes on their side, and even then they still get involved.
And now someone mute him now, please.
Look,
You're not intimidating at all. Like at all. I don't know who you think you are, but you're not intimidating at all, King Xerxes.
JJ, ask him again.
Just
let him finish.
JRobin, just don't engage in the meta stuff. Just talk about the arguments. Just talk about the argument. Don't worry about all that stuff.
Tom, I don't know. I don't like how you're pretending that people aren't dogpiling.
Oh my god.
Snook, shut your mouth. Come on.
What was the question?
Tom,
Ezra,
I
you
don't
are
like
way
how
too
you're
young to be this
pretending
angry, man.
Like you're
Seriously.
actually
Right?
not dogpiling on JRobin.
Dude, you are the ankle bitingest
You clearly
motherfucker
are.
in here. Shut up. God.
Shut up.
No,
Don't speak to me.
I'll go back
stream
to.
over with insults, guys. It's ridiculous.
Why
Let me get. I'll get us back on track then.
Yep. Here we go.
I'll get us back on track. JRobin, I was just confirming that your objection was you're delusional, and I presume there's some justification for that. That's what I was hoping you were going to give.
Yeah, well, the only justification needed is that God has revealed that that's the
Now
case.
he is.
That's the only.
All right.
That's the only.
I
That's
think
the
we're
only
done here.
necessary. That's the only necessary.
We're
Yeah.
definitely
So that
done.
exactly. So that is the quasi. I didn't say it was an actual ad hom, but it's a quasi ad hom, which is essentially someone repeating back to me what I say in a tone where it may sound objectionable,
Oh, that's
right?
not,
But they don't actually
that's
give a
not refuting
substantive
argument.
rebuttal. They don't
Look,
give a substantive. So it's not
JRobin.
really a refutation. So okay. So please don't overtalk. So it's not really a refutation. It's just someone saying, "Oh, so you're delusional, right?" Yes. Oh, okay. Then end the conversation. That's really what really is kind of going on here. I think everyone here realizes that. All right. Until there's a substantive
No, I
rebuttal, though.
understand.
You know.
Who's delusional is an ad hom as well.
Your rebuttal to premise 2 is, I think you're delusional.
Is there a problem with that?
No. I'm fine with that.
Okay,
And my
great.
rebuttal to that
End the
is,
conversation.
and my rebuttal to you is, no, I rebut that. I think you're delusional.
Okay, great. Great. All right. Any other conversation? Any
Do you have a
further
rebuttal to
comments?
that?
Yeah, I just want to
Any further
address that.
comments?
I think, JRobin, if you don't mind. So he asked if you have any objection to his argument. You said, that you reject premise 2 and you think that he's like suppressing with his unrighteousness. I definitely agree with you. He's not actually refuted that as a possibility. He's not negated that possibility from within his framework. So he's got no grounds to sit there and say,
Exactly.
he's got no grounds to say that it isn't the case. So I feel like, at this point they're just trolling, and
Right, that's why I cut it off. I already said I'm not.
Because you've already got it. God is on our side.
Even if we accept that, Foxy, he hasn't provided that he's right, that he doesn't know it.
No, he
What?
does. He does.
That's
he does
correct.
have
If you're under
knowledge.
the delusion, no. If you're under the delusion, then yeah, it would then lead to the case. It would then lead to the falsity of the second premise. Yes, it would. They're mutually exclusive.
No.
If Romans
JRobin,
1 is
possible
true,
that he's not under
listen
delusion?
to me. If Romans 1 is true, then premise 2 is false. Okay?
JRobin, is it possible that he's not under delusion?
No.
Is it possible that he's not under delusion?
All right, I answered your question twice.
Can you
now.
justify the impossibility?
God exists. God exists.
Lol.
Okay, so you're allowed to make
God
you're allowed to make question-begging
revealed certain
arguments to
things to him in
justify
such a way he couldn't be
impossibility.
wrong about it. Therefore,
Yeah,
the only
we already
explanation
established
is
that that's a
that he's
question-begging
suppressing the
argument.
truth with his unrighteousness.
So it sounds like he could just make a question-begging argument to justify the impossibility.
I'm still waiting for someone to. I'm still waiting.
Mr. Error, can you make a non-question begging argument for why he's making a question begging argument?
Can somebody get this kid a pacifier? Some child is speaking to.
So again, prevarication, filibustering. You're not going to answer my question, of course.
That's what both of those
Wait,
were.
run away, little girl. Run away, little girl.
Verification is filibustering.
Look, wouldn't something simply be like, Tom is not deluded about anything else, therefore he's probably not deluded about the fact that he doesn't know God exists? Wouldn't that be at least something?
I disagree with
You
that.
could say
I
probably,
disagree
but
with
it would
that.
not. It
First
would. But
premise.
you could no. Foxy, you could concede that it doesn't necessitate the claim that he's not deluded about some things. He could be deluded about. He could be lucid about everything
Probable,
else.
then it's possible.
Yeah, that's. I'm not making a deductive argument. I'm making an inductive argument.
Okay. Well, I don't even accept the argument. I wouldn't even accept it. I wouldn't accept even the first premise. But okay, that's fine. It doesn't.
You don't accept the
falsify
first
anything
premise?
that I said thus
You
far.
literally pointed to the scripture, which is the first premise.
He said the first premise is that he's. The first premise is that he is. No, the first premise, as I understood it, was that he is not under any sort of deception. That was what the first premise was.
No,
Maybe
you
that was the second
completely
premise.
missed it.
That's your
And that was the second
rebuttal.
premise.
We're going to need you to track the conversation. Maybe
The first
focus.
premise is, as
Okay.
you were
Maybe
you
I'll
were
do better.
referring to Romans 1:18, which is the basis of the first premise, which is, if God exists, then I know He exists.
Look, honestly, it's like, look, he's
You think
answered
that?
you guys. He answered you guys like 50 times. He's answered the same questions over and over again. You guys
Yeah,
aren't.
and he hasn't negated premise 2.
He's said it.
She did.
The fact is that it's necessary that God exists. You guys are denying that. The contradiction in your worldview is that you're claiming that it's possible to assert facts from a position where God isn't necessary, and that's problematic because God is actually necessary.
None of that matters.
Facts.
So there
Of
might be a
course it
way to
does.
rephrase this argument, though, right? Like you could just say, if God exists and I know He exists, it's possible that I don't know He exists. Therefore, it's possible that God does not exist. And of course, if it's possible that God does not exist, so then, so now
only a
the burden.
only a Sith
Now the-
deals in absolutes.
Yeah,
so
now the burden
people
really
are allowed
would be
to
on the
dogpile
theist.
and joke about JRobin, right?
Oh,
but as soon as I jump to his defense, I get scolded.
Ezra, please, nobody's
right?
interested.
Clerical
in
error. The problem with
so-
that is for them is that they can't acknowledge the possibility that God exists. It's necessary, impossible for God. There's no compromising on this. Everything rests on this. So it is actually
I know they're gonna like pull.
It is actually a not bad variation. I like it because it's just as good if they concede that it's possible God doesn't exist, then they're toasted also.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree that they won't. It would just save us time from like them trying to get you to prove the impossibility of being.
Well, this is why I asked.
Because that way we can just
earlier.
sidestep that conversation.
No, I like
it.
I like the variation.
You're not going to sidestep anything. You're not going to sidestep anything.
Clerical.
Well, and that's why I asked JRobin earlier if you can imagine a world in which God doesn't exist.
I already answered that question.
And you said
like
no.
3 times.
And you said no, and you wouldn't hear any argument. So you're arguing from incredulity.
That's not what an argument for incredulity is, but
Yes,
okay,
it is.
that's fine.
You won't even
No, it's
consider other hypotheticals. You're saying it's true
No.
because you can't imagine it.
No, that's not why anything is true. That's not why I never made a claim that anything is true.
Then
because
why
I
won't
can't
you
imagine
answer
the
the
opposite.
hypotheticals?
No, I didn't say that the hypotheticals were not true. What I said is that I'm not going to entertain them.
Why?
And even though, because not the world does not exist. The world doesn't
You
exist.
can't imagine it, right?
The world doesn't exist. It's not because I don't
Because
imagine
you can't
it.
imagine it, right?
No, that's not there.
How do you know
that's
you're not
that's
in
not the
that world
consequence.
right now?
God's revealed his existence.
Just
But
out
you
of
can't
curiosity.
imagine hold on, I'm just gonna I want to until he realizes what he's saying. You can't imagine a world where God doesn't exist, right? So therefore, your worldview is true.
No, that's not the argument. Okay, maybe listen to more Darth. All right, listen to more Darth. Okay, since you love him so much.
That's not a useful endeavor for anybody.
I do love Darth.
Honestly.
Yeah, Darth's fun.
I just want to know something.
I mean, if you claim, well, I'm just let me make this point, okay? A lot of people, talk badly about him. But I mean, do you not understand the basic? I mean, just put aside your biases and your dislikes of him. Just do you not understand what he's telling you, like what he says? Because anyone that has a basic understanding of this would understand that what you just said was false. Okay.
Oh wait, so I have to put aside my
Xerxes.
worldview to imagine your hypothetical?
I said put aside your biases and your misgivings about
To
him as a
imagine your
person.
hypothetical?
No, to have an understanding and not to mischaracterize and strawman the presuppositionalist position.
So I have to entertain.
Okay. Anyway,
I have to put aside my worldview to
yeah,
entertain
I
your
already made it clear.
hypothetical, right?
No. All right. Xerxes, I think had a question for me. What do you want?
Wait, just before that, can we just
What does Xerxes want to ask me?
Yeah, there are a lot of atheists here, though. Can we just give JRobin a little bit of props at least for coming in here and actually debating? Like you got to give him at least.
I'm not giving any props at all. He's debating a hostile environment where the mute powers are on his side.
Like, he's literally
honestly. I'll be honest with you.
Stop over talking
There's
me.
like 8 people
Stop
speaking at once.
Or I'll
What the
mute
fuck?
you.
Now there's
I'll
9.
mute you all if you keep over talking me. Okay, look, Xerxes, he's obviously there's a lot of hateful atheists in here, and they're never going to give props to anybody that they disagree with about anything. But Xerxes is going to go next.
Yeah, I think that's so unfair. Like
That's
all I
not
was
you.
saying
You're
was
not
please,
Xerxes, are you? I swear you're not
Dude,
Xerxes.
chill out, man.
all I'm saying is I think it's
Yeah,
fair
but
enough
you're
that
not
we just
Xerxes.
okay.
Xerxes,
Look,
what did
I
you have
was
to
just
say?
complimenting JRobin. That was all I was trying to
We
do.
know,
It's
Elliot.
fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Just let him go.
Okay, Xerxes. Do you want to go?
Sure.
You better go, bud.
Yeah. So my earlier JRobin, your contention to earlier JRobin, your contention to Tom was that you believed he was delusional. Just so I'm clear, a delusion would be a false belief, correct? But specifically a false belief that's held in contrary to all overwhelming evidence.
Oh, delusion would just mean that you hold it. I wouldn't add anything else to it. A delusion is that you have believed something that is untrue. That's all I'm talking about when I'm talking about him in this situation.
And would it make sense that Tom knows what he believes, even if he's wrong about what he believes?
Some depends. Depends on how strong the delusion. It depends on what the delusion is. There's certain things that he may have a positive attitude towards that are not true. And
so are you?
When I talk about a delusion, go ahead.
Are you suggesting that Tom doesn't know what Tom believes?
Depends on what we're talking about. He may strongly believe that he doesn't have a belief in God, but that belief is false. It doesn't matter how strongly you believe something. That belief.
JRobin, just a quick question.
Not even if it's about your own first-person experience.
Let me ask you this: if I asked you, JRobin, we disagree.
You're trying to catch me in a gotcha, but it doesn't work.
I wasn't trying to catch you in a gotcha. I wanted an explanation.
Oh no, the other guy.
Because
he doesn't like the fact that I am uncompromisingly, addressing him for my worldview.
Delusional.
Anyways,
I don't know who you're talking about. But anyway, if I asked you, JRobin, hey, we disagree on this thing, and like, if we were to try and solve it, in other words, if we were try and test it to the best of our abilities, do you have any suggestions of how we could go about that?
Depends on what's being tested. Not all things are in the same category, and I have a feeling that I know where you're getting to. But yeah, not all things are in the same category. So if we're testing whether or not God exists, okay, that's not something we test.
No.
Empirically.
Whether or not I think that God exists.
There's no testing that needs to be done. We take God's word at face value.
So
that's
you would
true.
be
now
against...
you may either believe it. You'll either believe that, or you won't.
So
you don't
you'd
believe it,
be
you reject it, then you're going to meet. Go ahead.
You tell me when you're done. You tell me when you're done. Okay. You tell me I'm done, and then I'll start talking.
Go.
Well, I wasn't done.
I'm done. Go ahead.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that you are against trying to pursue this. This is what I've said before, right? We have people going into space, going to other planets, drilling into Mars, drilling into ice samples, probes that are interstellar.
Spare me, please. To the point.
Right, you get the idea, right? And they're attempting to all answer the most important question in the universe that ever existed. But here we have Tom, and we can figure out the answer whether or not he knows God. If he doesn't know that God exists, then we know God doesn't exist, right? Seems like it would be worth maybe kind of poking around. Just maybe, don't you think?
Funny, you know what's funny though? You know what's like really, really hilarious? I'll just tell you. It's funny how when I ask him to substantiate that claim, because you guys just take that claim to be true, right, without any justification, which is typical, as to be expected from an atheist. They just take they have unjustified things going on all the time.
Well, I think you're wrong already.
But when I ask, but when I ask,
hold on a second.
all right. No, but when I ask for a justification for the claim that he doesn't know something, guess what? We hear crickets. We hear silence. We don't hear justification. We hear ad hominems. We hear quasi ad hominems, and that's all we get from the atheists, and that's fine. I've learned to accept it. I've learned to get over it, and that's just the reality that we live in. That's fine. But if you have something substantive, I'd love to hear it.
Okay,
Right. So first of all,
hold on. Can I go back to what I was trying to go to earlier before I was interrupted?
I think he should be able to. So let's do it.
Arrivederci.